The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Where does it take place on the timeline? What is the story? Why was Link sealed, and how did Ganondorf take over Hyrule and become the Calamity Ganon? Well, after dissecting the newest trailer in a 3-hour-long analysis video, which you can find in the description below, we think we have found the answer to all of this. So if you're a fan of this theory and would like to see more, please subscribe and leave a like. And with that out of the way, let's get started. Let's begin with the timeline placement before we get into the story. We see the remains of Castletown that looks remarkably similar to the one found in Twilight Princess. We see the Temple of Time, which from the outside looks like it was copied and pasted from Ocarina of Time. We have Koroks making a return and sea salt found throughout the world, which makes fans think it is related to the adult timeline, as well as the character art that looks very similar to Captain Linebeck, and the old man who we now know as Zelda's father looks like Daphnis, though other kings in past Zelda games also resemble him, even though the game is part of a different timeline and not even close to taking place around the time or the events of the Wind Waker. Finally, we have the Master Sword located in an almost identical location as it was in A Link to the Past. It even has the same flowers in the exact same spot found in this game. The crazy part is, each one of these could logically connect this game to each one of the timelines, and I've only mentioned a few things here. There is so much more details found within Breath of the Wild that could put it in any of these timelines, but let's save that for a video in the future. Nintendo hasn't officially announced where this game takes place or the story, but thanks to Nintendo's newest trailer, we think we've figured this out. Keep in mind, with all of the connections to each of the timelines, you can have a solid debate as to where this game fits. With that said, I strongly believe this game happens in the Downfall timeline between Ocarina of Time and A Link to the Past. We have a few hundred years that takes place between these games, with the mention of the Sealing War in A Link to the Past, and Hyrule Historia stating it takes place several years after Ocarina of Time. I believe the events of the Sealing War is tied to this game, perhaps taking place during or as a result of beating Breath of the Wild. Nintendo has made it very clear that this Link was defeated in some way. Either he died or was beaten so badly that he was moments away from his death. The only other canon Link that was defeated was Link from Ocarina of Time, while never actually saying Link dies, just naming him the fallen hero. On top of this, one of the Treehouse representatives during E3 referred to him as the Hero of Time, with others saying fans will be surprised when they find out who this Link is. The Hero of Time is looked at as most fans' favorite and the most popular version of Link, so seeing him return in a third Hero of Time game would have those fans excited. Before the comments that say Link is right-handed in this game and left-handed in Ocarina of Time, and Skyward Sword Link is the only other Link that is right-handed, blah blah blah, just stop. Nintendo has said plenty of times, when making a Zelda game, they like to look at what is fun, before they worry about the story. This is why when one game takes place almost directly after another, locations, landmarks, and other things look completely different or are located in a completely different area than other games. For example, they've said something along the lines of, if you visit Lake Hylia in Ocarina of Time, then in Twilight Princess or another game, you go back to Lake Hylia, it looks completely different. The location on the map, the size of the area, the landmarks within the location are all new and different. Everything about Lake Hylia has changed. They feel like if every time you play Zelda, if the overworld and the areas like Kakariko Village, Lake Hylia, and Castletown are in the exact same spot and look the exact same as other games, it would become boring to the player because it isn't offering anything new. That is why they like to keep it fresh by changing these things, what the area looks like and where things are located, like the Temple of Time, Death Mountain, and other places being completely different and fresh from one game to another. In this way, it doesn't really matter how Link looks or if he is right-handed or left-handed. These things aren't important to Nintendo. When they develop these games, they only look at what will make the game fun before worrying about that. And with breaking conventions and wanting this to be a different type of Zelda game, something as small as Link being left-handed could be the first thing to go. Especially with them adding voice acting to this game, with half of the fanbase saying it would ruin the entire series for them, and if the game has voice acting, they'll boycott Nintendo. But now I'm sure they've already pre-ordered the game, so yeah. Anyways, for Nintendo, making Link right-handed would make it easier for players to relate. With all of that out of the way, let's move to the story of this game. At first, I thought the story was going to be simple, and I have a previous theory on this. Before Ganon is able to do his final strike on Link, Zelda and the sages use their magic to not seal a weakened Ganon in the Sacred Realm as he was at the end of Ocarina of Time, but to save Link in his final moments and seal Ganondorf to the castle. Ganondorf's body was destroyed by Link, but he uses the Triforce of Power to transform himself into the Beast Ganon. Perhaps after being sealed in this castle for such a long time, it transformed the Beast Ganon into a being of pure evil. This is why he looks the way he does without a true physical form aside from the face we see. Some fans are curious as why he is referred to as the Calamity Ganon, and Google defines calamity as an event causing great and often sudden damage or distress, a disaster. They even use it in a sentence as, the fire was the latest calamity to strike the area. So in this sense, Ganon was the calamity that destroyed Hyrule. While Ganon was sealed to the castle, unable to break free, his evil seeped out into the world, slowly taking over and converting the Sheikah weapons that were built to defend Hyrule, such as the Guardians, into evil creatures under his control, which is why he is seen glowing the same pink glow as the Guardians, while Link's slate, the good Sheikah technology, glows mostly blue and orange. After Link is rescued in his final moments by Zelda and the sages, he is put into an almost cryogenic-like device. You guessed it, inside the Chamber of Resurrection. After enough time passes and he is completely healed or brought back to life, in other words, resurrected, we hear Zelda calling his name. He wakes up and Breath of the Wild begins. However, after seeing the newest trailer, it isn't that simple. We have scenes clearly taking place in the past and scenes in the present. While my theory still matches, much more takes place between Link being defeated and being sealed. In the new trailer, we see a lot of scenes where Link is in the blue tunic that we're now used to seeing him in. He has the Master Sword, and Zelda, not Link, is in possession of the Sheikah Slate. They are both shown several times to be bruised and beaten. I believe after she and the sages saved Link, Ganondorf's evil slowly started to take over Hyrule. Similar to how the castle town in Ocarina of Time as an adult was overrun by enemies and destroyed. Even Kokiri Forest had enemies everywhere. The entire world of Hyrule slowly became taken over like this. In defense, the Sheikah built these guardians, which, you guessed it, guarded them or protected them and fought off these enemies. They were even named similarly to the guardians who protect the Master Sword and Twilight Princess, which have the same identical glow. So while on the run from Ganon and his corruption of the world, Link is slowly recovering while they think of a way to save Hyrule. At one point, you even hear Zelda say everything she has done up to that point had been for nothing, presumably because everything they went through in Ocarina of Time and after was for nothing, as Ganon was still winning and she may have finally found the true answer on how to get rid of Ganon once and for all. We see this scene which is split up in the trailer that shows Link and Zelda being chased by something. Zelda falls down and Link looks back horrified. I then think this scene happens where Link turns back to fight the enemy, which looks to be a guardian, and saves Zelda. Link is badly injured and Zelda uses her magic to try and stop the enemy. Then, after they are safe, this scene where Zelda is crying takes place. Finally, after she discovers how to stop Ganon, or Link is horribly injured, possibly dead. I mean, just look at his arm here. Yes, that is his left hand looking like it is completely broken, and he is holding the sword in his right hand, which may or may not be important for those who think this isn't the Hero of Time, and needs further explanation as to why he isn't using his left hand in this game. The real reason is to change the gameplay, but if you need an in-story reason, this is it. Anyways, this is when Zelda decides to put Link in the Chamber of Resurrection. She then places the Sheikah Slate on the pedestal beside Link. Then, she takes the damaged Master Sword to the new Great Deku Tree, who we know from Ocarina of Time as the Deku Sprout. What happens after this is unclear. The only thing we know that happens next is the old man, who we now know as Zelda's father, looks after Link while he is resting or being resurrected, which is why as soon as Link wakes up, the old man is just outside with a small campfire. Later we find out that he is concerned about Link not remembering anything. Then, it is your job to venture around Hyrule talking to people to uncover the story of what happened. But the real information comes from Link praying at these glowing goddess statues to regain his memory, similar to Zelda praying at them in Skyward Sword to regain her memory of Hylia. We even see Zelda in this scene without Link, possibly after she took him to the Chamber of Resurrection in order to pray. As most Zelda games have some form of time travel, I think this game will end like Skyward Sword did, where after defeating the Beast in Skyward Sword the Imprisoned, in this game, Calamity Ganon, then traveling back 100 years to defeat the true form of Demise, or again, in this case, Ganon, before he was ever able to corrupt the land. I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it, give this video a like and share it with your friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future gaming news, theories, rumors, and discussions. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on how it could be improved. Your feedback is the most important part of bringing the quality of content on this channel to be the best that it can be. I would like to take this time to give a huge thank you to this month's Patreon supporters: Jonathan, The Edge Network, Magic Tech Review, John Frank, and Harris Priest. This video was made possible by supporters on Patreon. If you would also like to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse where you can support this channel as well. Rewards vary from having your topic featured on a future discussion, seeing videos early, joining as a guest on a video, shoutouts, and having a custom avatar similar to my own drawn a view to match any video game or anime art style that you would like. Mine is of myself as Link, but you could choose to have yours any way that you would like. Finally, I would like to thank my friends CS Guitar 89 and Gnomo Designs for providing the music and artwork for this video.